Today, we're going to cover a story that spans and crosses borders, involves corrupt police, swatting, unlawful arrests, all over an old man's Lego collection. And we're going to get into why justice is so difficult to obtain in America, why someone satirized the entire American legal system and why it deserved to be satirized. We're also going to go into some history with Nikki Knows Facts, get into some shenanigans with Steve, do some apologetics with Charlie, song review, and of course the Screw Tape letters. So we got a lot to do today. Stick around for all of it. Howdy, Jonathan Fiala, for Further Every Day. To my right, I got Miss Nikki. How's it going?
It's good. It's a good day.
It's a good day. The day the Lord's made.
That's right.
To my left, I got Charlie.
Got my shoes on.
You ready?
I am not stepping on any Legos without shoes.
Yep, that sounds right.
Man, I tell you what, Legos are dangerous when you step on them barefooted, man.
Absolutely.
One of the worst things to step on.
Yep.
Next to nails.
You ever stepped on a Lego, Mr. Producer?
Thankfully not.
See,
You have been blessed.
I thought
You
you
haven't
were
been blessed.
I
No,
knew it. You were not a
man.
Lego kid.
It reminds me what Tim Hawkins said one time, though. He's like, I think we should fight the terrorists with Legos.
Lego.
I really do.
I'm not sure he's saved. You can't be saved without stepping on a
Without stepping
Lego.
on a
Man,
Lego.
I'm telling you.
So wait. Are you saying that Lego stepping upons are the propitiation for your sins?
Absolutely.
Okay,
give
now
me
that
a
we're
hard-
off
wait,
the rails, I'm
hold
just
on.
going to hear when the lightning comes.
I heard ninjas use Legos.
Mr. Charlie,
when
can
they
I get a
throw them
book,
on the
chapter, and
ground
verse
when
for
they're
that?
being
Mr.
followed.
Producer, first cut, please. I want to get to this. This is the case that has brought together right, left, MAGA, the Democrats, Patreon, YouTube, to some extent, LawTube, political commentators, nerds, Lego fans, Star Wars fans alike, and journalists, all to the same conclusion. This company called Bricks and Minifigs is a scam. And it gets deep, and it goes into partly into the Mormon religion and the Mormon culture. There's a significant amount of commentary that we could get into there. I'm going to stay away from that, I think, more on the Mormon side, because there are a lot of Mormons who are deeply, deeply, deeply offended by this whole story, and they feel terrible that this is happening, and they would never do this.
Correct.
However, it does skirt into some of the lines that Klan-like behavior that does happen a lot in Utah. We'll get to it. It's not the best story in the world for the Mormon Church, and I do want to say I think some of the critiques are unfair. I am not Mormon, but I have family and friends who are, and I do believe it's an unfair critique towards them. So let's go ahead and actually watch the first couple of minutes, because not Steve, you got caught up on part of this. But everyone else in the room they're not familiar with Ben Schneider's coverage of this. He did a YouTube video from some activity in March. And I want to say this case has gone on since 2023. So in March, Ben Schneider was called or summoned or somehow, he's put in touch with the Mansfield family. And this is the video documentary that he made that just recently was released. And it basically has taken over the internet culture. So let's get a clip. This first clip is going to be cut number 2, Mr. Producer.
And Minifigs, the biggest toy store of its kind.
Is the largest toy store.
Bricks and Minifigs were not just your average Lego store.
For collectors, Bricks and Minifigs is basically seen as the best and safest way to sell your Lego collections.
I'm selling my Legos. So what I'm planning to do with them is take them to my local Bricks and Minifigs.
Because there's so much positive media about them everywhere, Brian thought that this would be the perfect store to finally sell his dad's Lego Star Wars collection.
So I wrote up a contract.
In the contract, it says that these are still the family's Lego sets, but every time one gets sold, the store gets to keep a small percentage of each sale.
This was a store's worth of inventory. So that store that day was nothing but my dad's collection. Like, all the shelves filled. They had to bring in extra shelves and fill the whole party room with shelves.
But the owner of the franchise, this woman, well, her husband had to actually leave the country due to some work-related reasons.
My husband and I were planning on moving out of the country. I reached out to corporate to let them know, hey, this is something that's coming up in the next like 4 to 5 months.
She told the Bricks and Minifigs head corporation that she was planning on selling the store, so the corporation actually was able to find a buyer to buy it from her.
They let me know that they had somebody who was interested in purchasing a franchise in the area. He was going to be in town and he was going to stop by and just take a look at it. Wasn't until Brandon got there that he informed me that they were terminating my franchise agreement. We were getting threats from Brandon and from corporate that if we didn't leave the store immediately, the police were going to be called. I told corporate I wasn't comfortable leaving that night without the inventory. I was also told I was not going to be able to stay there long enough to do that inventory.
But we don't just have to take this woman's word for it. She was actually able to save all the security camera footage from that night, proving that everything she just said is true.
All the footage and evidence is there in the security cam footage. It's him at the store kicking her out. In that footage they sent us is Crystal asking him, how am I supposed to pay this guy? These are sets he has not been paid for.
These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet. And if I don't have the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
That's a business thing and not necessarily yours. He's taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment.
His own corporation is sitting there on video saying they're going to take it.
After this woman got kicked out of her own store, she called Brian explaining how corporate just came down and is now trying to take the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection without paying for it. So Brian called the store to see what was going on.
Called the store and I said, what happened to Crystal? And he goes, well, that's kind of a private matter, but the corporation's taken over the store. There's something I can do to help you with. I said, well, yeah. I am the owner of about half your store's inventory. All those vintage Star Wars sets you have in there are ours. And he goes, I don't know anything about that. I said, well, you better get to learn about it because I have a contract, I have photo evidence, video evidence, like that is our collection. So I went down to the store, brought a copy of the contract. We're like, you need to let me in back and let me see the sets that you still have. All you have to do is let me in back. We can go that route or we can go to court. And the guy just looks at me, crosses his arms and goes, let me tell you what's gonna happen. If we go to court, we're gonna drag this thing out so long and you're gonna end up spending so much more money than your collection is ever worth or what you ever would have gotten out of it, that it ain't worth it, man. So if that's the route you wanna go, and I go, that's really the route you wanna go, rather than just letting me walk in there. And he goes, well.
So I love, by the way, Ben Schneider. He goes by Reckless Benz. I love his presentation of the facts. If you want to watch the whole unhinged hour and 25-minute long documentary part 1, he has a part 2 and a part 3. Equally, sorry, I try to get that in. Equally unhinged. But does everyone understand so far?
Yeah.
You have an old man, he's 83. He has health issues. He takes his son, takes that collection that he and his dad built over the course of their lives, goes to put it on consignment, where it'll be sold. 35% of the sale goes to BAM, Bricks and Minifigs. I'll be calling them BAM from now on, just for the sake of brevity. BAM sends in someone from corporate to purchase this franchise earlier than expected, and they basically cancel the franchise agreement. What's not in this part, which is really interesting, is they had a whole promotion for months before this about having the world's largest collection of rare Star Wars collectibles in Legos. For months, this has been promoted at the corporate social media level. So I'm not making any allegations, but the question comes. They knew that this was a valuable set, right? $200,000. They evaluated it at that. That was their evaluation. You guys heard, they said, hey, consignment, we'll take it over. Don't worry about it. Just get out of the store to the old franchise owner. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, so the question is, why didn't the Mansell family just go to legal? Well, the answer is they did. And when Ben comes along and he confronts the CEO, this is what they see, Mr. Producer.
And the Bricks and Minifigs CEO, the guy who runs the entire company, Ammon McNeff, he personally came out to talk to us.
So what's going on?
So you guys are holding some of our Legos?
No, we're not.
You're not?
No.
Huh. Is that a lie?
No.
That's a lie. You did take the Legos.
So we have our attorneys have visited. Like,
Notice that.
So who's
Brian Mansell.
Okay, and who is that?
He's a guy who had he had like $200,000 worth of Legos in your guys' store.
Never happened.
I mean, it did happen, yeah. It does happen.
No, we did not.
Yeah, because his Legos were in the store and you guys took them. I know you think lying to us right now is kind of like helping you out.
I'm not lying to you.
Well, look, we both know you're lying, but...
No, we don't know that.
So I showed him some social media posts his own company made that are still up that claims that these are Brian Mansell's Lego sets. And these Lego sets that they're still holding on to are worth $200,000. All of these claims are from his own company. We just caught the CEO of the entire company red-handed in a lie. Yeah, it's crazy to me that even the CEO is in on this cover-up. But anyways, now that we just caught the CEO in this lie, I wanted to let him know that it's going to be much easier if he just gives us the Legos back now. If you just want to give it back now, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys, you know? I think you guys would prefer the easy way. The hard way, I don't think you guys are really going to like it.
No, okay.
But we're getting it back either way, so it's like you can either...
So you can leave. If you come back here, we will call the cops. If you don't leave right now, I will call the cops.
So you don't want to do the easy way?
So you're threatening me. What you are doing right now is illegal. It's an extortion.
So catching you guys in illegal activity, that's illegal on me.
Okay, you've been asked to leave. Please leave.
There's a way to do all of this. What Ben is doing is not that. Ben committed probably 6 felonies and many, many misdemeanors over the course of this. The reason why, I can't justify it per se, but it's really clear why he's doing this. He's making a satire out of the entire legal system because they spent 18 months trying to rectify this correctly. Did you notice how the CEO responded?
Oh,
nope.
Constant no.
Didn't happen. Never happened. No, we don't. It never happened. It wasn't a thing. Didn't happen. Interesting response, someone who has full knowledge and is thinking about this from a legal perspective. I want to get into it because a lot of other people have actually done a lot of work on this, and I don't want to do repeat. The reason we're bringing up this story is to get to where things changed in the mid 20th century, specifically around the federal rules of civil procedure, and why that was a huge mistake for America. But to have everyone understand, if you're just now getting caught up on this, I want to get you some good foundations here for us to do the legwork. So next cut, Mr. Producer, we're going to go through these slides for just a moment. Cut number 4, go ahead. So just for review, you got this guy. He's got his $200,000 collection of Legos. Next cut, Mr. Producer, we're going to go through these rapid fire. He sends them on consignment. We're all in agreement. Next one. So Bam pulls the franchise, puts someone else in. Josh and Brandon, okay, are the 2 owners of this new franchise, all right? And now they deny the ownership, okay? Next cut, Mr. Producer. They deny that the guy ever owned them. They say, wait a minute, this is not good. So what do? They block them. They say, we are going to drag discovery out 4 years. Now you guys know why I'm talking about the federal civil procedure issue, okay? But continue. Then we bring in, as a last resort, this crazy kid, this unhinged Gen Z YouTuber who's doing some of God's work here, bringing this to light. It would never seen the light of day without this lunatic coming into play. Mr. Producer, I know you got a question for me.
I was just wondering where I can buy my Reckless Ben Lego set. Like, is it available at Target or Walmart or like?
If Lego knows what they're doing, they'll make one. And then finally, where this ends up, go ahead, is I'm not going to have you watch the whole video. I can't for copyright reasons and just for the sake of our sanity and time. They close the store and they run off with the inventory. The corporate does. Basically, this collection just disappears. $200,000 worth of collectibles that were in a consignment deal just vanish into thin air because corporate comes in and they basically mess with this. So that's part 1 of Ben's documentary. So we're going lightning speed. Any questions so far?
Mm-mm.
Okay. This is where it takes a dark turn. Part 2, so after he releases this first one, he gets a lot of, in the last month or so, he's gotten a lot of response. And he's in the middle of filming part 2, where he's going and trying to serve the new owners of the franchise small claims cases, okay? So they go and they purchase a bunch of the sets from the Mansell family. They get a notarized sale. This is the sale that's owned based on what they have on the record on the ledger from what was not sold. Because they have the old franchise owner and they have the owner come together and they say, okay, so we're going to buy $10,000 or less worth of your inventory, get it notarized, and they paid cash. It's so silly. They went and got 10 credit cards, borrowed $10,000, paid Mansell $10,000 each, and then they took a loan from Mansell to pay off the debt. Really stupid. There's some fraud there. Okay, Ben did some fraud also with signing someone signed a name to a contract that wasn't really accurate. It was a silly contract. It was a joke. It was a satire. But he's trying to prove the point of how stupid and how dumbed down our criminal justice system has become. Okay, so I think that's going to help him in his trial because he has now a huge set of lawsuits coming in. This YouTuber does for doing this. But we would not even know about this if it weren't for this kid. So they go and they try to serve the owners of the franchise, hey, you have our sets in small claims court. Mm-hmm. There's an error with the filing. So they go and they try to file, and they have to serve. So Ben shows up with a process server. They arrest the process server and Ben on the same day.
Because
first Ben, and then
charges?
the process server.
On what charges?
Let's go ahead and watch what happens. But before we do, we're going to watch some leaked body cam footage that apparently was accidentally, I hope someone in the department did something righteous here. Ben used the word hack. That was a bad word. Someone uploaded the entire unredacted body cam footage, which had been redacted to date. And so I want to grab a clip of that in just a moment. But to that end, the police department put this out. The American Fork Police Department, this is in Utah, recently discovered that files not intended for public release were uploaded to a public folder. Upon identifying the issue, the police department promptly removed those files and conducted a review of the records associated with the matter. Following that review, under applicable records laws, the department removed all previously posted files and replaced them with files approved for public release, redacted files. The files are currently available. The files that are approved for public release, the members and members of the public and media are asked to use those files. In other words, nothing to see here. The files where we did stuff that was highly illegal as a police department, please don't look at those. Only look at the ones that we're now redacting. This is a piece, and I can't show you all of it because it's like an hour.
Can you please verify what police department in what state?
So this is it started in Oregon. The two guys are Mormon. And this is where people bring in the Mormon church into this, okay? They're in Utah. Mm-hmm. And they are, one of them is actually he was part of the council in his church, the high council in his church. He has been removed on a weekday, by the way, which is very unusual.
And let me just say something here, because we do have friends that are Mormons.
I got family that are Mormon.
Yes. So
and they're not guilty of this.
Just like there are many denominations of Baptists, there are multiple denominations of Mormons. That means that they practice their Mormon religion differently. So let's just make sure that we don't put all Mormons in one category.
I've got family that are Mormon that I know. I haven't talked to them yet. I know they're mortified. I haven't talked to them yet. You know why? Because I know that they're mortified.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even ask them.
Yeah, my friends that are Mormon, they would be horrified by
all of this.
Absolutely.
So I would say let's be really cautious, but there is an aspect where people do use the church in their position of the church, and it's kind of a clannish behavior. Mm-hmm. It is still an individual issue. It's not inherently the church.
Correct.
Don't make me defend the Mormon church. I'm not a proponent. I would say be fair, though, when dealing with individuals, please. Just kind of delineate that. So a lot of people have made claims about how bad the Mormon church is. I'm not getting into that. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking it. What I would say, though, is that I have been a party to people abusing the church. I have been arrested. My family have gone to prison overnight or jail overnight for people misusing the church. I've got a whole story on that. I could get into it based on a car that could run on partially or all water. And someone got their knickers in a knot. That happens in Utah. Okay, so anyway, this is what they played, this is what they did, and we're going to play the footage real quick here of the police body cam that was ultimately leaked.
About it that way, okay?
Thank you for holding. How can I help you?
Trying to speak with someone to verify if a
this file is taken from the process server.
Just verify if the case is real.
Yeah, looks like a real small claims case in our court.
Okay, thank you for your help. That's all for today. Thank you.
And after this phone call, I guess the police officers turned off the microphone on their body cam because I guess they really didn't want literally anyone to hear this, even if someone gets a hold of the unredacted stuff. Not even we now can get it to hear what these police officers are saying. But anyways, the police officer ends up going back to talk to Josh.
They're screening some charges, okay? Yeah. But we're just kind of working through. It looks like this is a real case. It just hasn't gone to court, okay?
It's a real case. Who's it against?
Against you, him versus you.
Ben Schneider?
Mm-hmm.
What an idiot.
So,
he's just racking up the charges, and we're working together.
So basically the consensus is we were all wrong here. However, let's just arrest Ben anyways.
Like, letting them go cannot be an option.
This is the CEO.
It's like, there's got to be something for cyber stalking, bullying, like all of the different...
This is
Ammon McNabb. There's got to be something to arrest them and send a message that this is not appropriate, this is not okay.
I've been in agreement with you. Again, that's why we're kind of working through this right now.
Hello. Step out for me. Okay.
Okay. We're going to find you back.
Am I being arrested?
You're under arrest right now.
Really? So they arrest him. And later they arrest the entire... Thank you, Mr. Producer. So they later go on to speak to Josh. I believe it's Josh who's the homeowner and that particular part of the franchise agreement. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, thank you guys, thank you. Hey, can I take a look at that summons and that service?" And they're like, "No, it's kind of awkward for us to do that. Please don't." They almost let him look at what he was supposed to be served. By the way, it is correct procedure if the server is able to get close enough and say, "Here, you're served, you're served." If you were told you were served, that's all the officer had to do is say, "You're served."
That's it.
And he specifically blocked, and then later that day, because they stole the Legos, supposedly, they flipped it. They said, "Oh, well, Ben stole the Legos." They got someone to say something about Legos and stealing, and then they said, "Oh, well, we have probable cause," so they swatted Ben. And they arrested him, they arrested the process server, they arrested everyone just a little bit later.
And they had also said that someone on Ben's team had threatened
Correct.
with death or something,
yes,
or murder.
They made bomb charges and fire charges up out of the air.
Right.
And there's no
Just
attribution.
lied
There's
about
no
it.
witness. So basically, they're pulling this stuff out of thin air. And it's very clear what's going on. The problem is this has had a very negative effect on the public opinion. You might have noticed there were a bunch of blurred areas on the video.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube acquiesced to Bricks and Minifig to blur out portions of the video, basically defacing a 3 million plus view and counting documentary. And it was like a smudge that they could just do, and they got away with it. And basically, it's always going to be that way. They've been pinging YouTube to get them to take down the video. They've been suing YouTube. And they've also sued Patreon, which, does everyone here know what Patreon is? Private platform for creators to be able to be paid by folks who want to pay them. It's a private video platform where if you are, especially if you're demonetized on YouTube, it's a place where a lot of people go to be able to make a living doing what Ben does. So they reached out. They actually served Patreon with papers. And this is the CEO of Patreon's response.
Dear creator community, my name is Jack Conti, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Patreon. On May 29th, Patreon received an official takedown request filed by Bricks and Minifigs for media and accounts related to Reckless Ben and an ongoing dispute regarding a local Lego consignment issue. This is the verified complaint with exhibits. This is the request for immediate content removal pursuant to temporary restraining order. And this is the motion for the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. So after an extensive review and investigation by Patreon's trust and safety team, we have in fact unfortunately determined that Bricks and Minifigs can stuff it. We're keeping Ben's page up. And if Bricks and Minifigs doesn't like that, they can sue us. Patreon out.
That is such a good callback because that's what BAM has said over and over again. In fact, one guy in corporate at BAM, his name's Kai, he says, oh yeah, you can sue us. Go ahead. We want you to sue us. Go ahead. Bricks and Minifig, Josh and Brandon, sue us. Please sue us. We'll win. So Patreon, in Star Wars Episode 1, there's always a bigger fish. The bigger fish just said, bite me. I would love to take a piece out of you. And by the way, killer cover band pianist right there. Jack Conti, my favorite cover band. But long before I found out that he was the CEO of Patreon, this whole time he and his wife have been doing a jazz band for years. Pomplamoose. Look up Pomplamoose if you want some killer beats. If you like Daft Punk, but even funkier, good stuff.
Funk.
So I knew I liked that guy. Funk. Anyway, really, really good stuff from them. They're coming back and they're saying, hey, look, we're not gonna do this. So even a lot of the this is, by the way, unprecedented. One of the largest corporations for private hosting just pushed back for the first time, I think, in ever. Patreon has always responded affirmatively to takedown requests. This has been an issue. A lot of conservatives, gun tubers, they have always been taken down by Patreon. So this case is setting a precedent. This is the first time Patreon has actually stiffed a spine up and said, "Wait a minute, no. We're not gonna take someone down."
Well, it's early. They could take it down.
They still could. They still could. And they've done this. They have taken many, many, many people down at requests and lawsuits over the years. They have. So this might be a change in direction. This is where the culture, and I really think we owe this crazy Zoomer a little bit of credit, because even though he's broken so many laws, he's got himself in so much trouble, he is making a conversation grow around a serious problem, the cost of justice. The cost of justice has been way too high. And all of that to say, Ammon McNeff was just on Fox a couple days ago. So I know that we're running through a lot of this because I want to get everyone caught up, and then I want to make the commentary on the issue of the federal rules of criminal procedure, because that is the real issue. So go ahead and play this clip from Fox, Mr. Producer.
So, our franchise operates on the buy-sell trade model for Lego. We love Lego and everything that it stands for. And so, but we know that consignment agreements can be very difficult. And so we make sure that in our operations manual, through all of our training, we train all franchisees that consignment is not part of our model. It's written into the operations manual. It's trained on. And it's very explicit. However, unfortunately, we had a franchisee go rogue and enter into a consignment agreement without our knowledge or authorization. And then it appears that may not have been honored with the person that she had entered into that consignment agreement with. And then through other circumstances, we ended up retaking over that store. And in the shuffle,
over that.
There appears to have been just some confusion as to how, why, and where some of this came about. And as we tried to figure that out, we started uncovering more documents, more information. And what we found was that there were 3 separate sets of records that were being kept that shows that Mr. Mansell was significantly underpaid by that former franchisee. And so we've been trying to make sure that we can properly do like a forensic accounting and make sure everything is being looked at properly so that we can work together to get that family resolution.
So that would sound good except for three things. Note, part of the reason the notes are off, remember, what did she say about her notes? If I don't have those, I'm not going to be able to finish the accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, we'll take it over on consignment. He said, we don't do consignments. Interesting. I want to be charitable to Ammon. I do, but here's where Legal Eagle does a takedown, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. Legal Eagle does a takedown on this. And by the way, Legal Eagle, super lefty, but he does a good takedown on this right here.
Underlying legal obligations, then the successors still don't arguably have title to the Mansell's collection, unless you get into one of those exceptions to the exception situations where a bona fide successor does not have knowledge of the underlying obligations and doesn't have to assume them. But Bricks and Minifigs Corporate has argued that consignments violated franchise policy or were unauthorized under the franchise agreement. So we took a look at the Bricks and Minifigs 2003 franchise agreement, which does not say that stores can't use consignment. Quote, subject to our standards, specifications, and approval, if we so require, you may also offer the following products and services. Consignment services. And that's just on the first page. And the franchise agreement template reiterates that on the first page, quote, additionally, franchisees may also offer consignment services. And Reckless Ben states in an update that Crystal Law provided the actual franchise agreement that she signed, which explicitly allows consignment agreements. Now, additionally, there are 4 references to consignment in these documents, and none of them are an outright prohibition. And even if Bricks and Minifigs Corporate outlawed consignment agreements, that agreement only addresses the relationship between Bricks and Minifigs and the Gormans, not the ownership of the Star Wars collection. The franchise agreement was a contract between Bricks and Minifigs Corporate and the franchisee. But it's also possible that both the Gormans and Bricks and Minifigs are telling the truth. It's entirely possible that the Gormans signed a franchise agreement that allowed them to engage in consignments, but then it's also possible that a later franchise agreement that corporate would have required them to sign outlawed that particular practice.
But then he goes on to say, very accurately, that is a separate entity and fixture than the Mansell family. Mm-hmm. So if you don't allow consignments, give the product back to the owners.
That's where the sticky thing comes, is that, you know, even if, let's say what he said was true, is that she violated the franchise agreement, and even therefore we could go in and kick her out. Because I was thinking the whole time, why are they just kicking her out just like that? Why isn't there some sort of agreement and sitting down?
$200,000 worth of
but they
material,
don't have it,
and he was selling it.
Okay, so
she was selling it off.
So when he was saying that she violated the agreement, I said, well, that kind of makes sense, but it still doesn't take care of the inventory that she had. Just because she violated your franchise agreement, and I'm not saying that she is, I'm saying that's what the video said. Even if she did, the inventory does not belong to you. The inventory still belongs to somebody else. So even though he says, well, we're trying to figure this all out, well, you know, you might want to sit down with the family and just say, okay, so you think you had $200,000.
Correct.
Let's try to work this out. And then I'd be going back to the 2 guys that took over the franchise and say, where's this inventory?
Where's the inventory?
Because now you're violating.
So that's why they went and they sent a process server who was legally fine, totally fit the profile of a process server. She was acting as a process server to his house, and Ben was in the car. They arrested Ben. Later on, they arrested her as the process server.
Okay, but getting arrested and having charges filed against you are different things. So there could have been a misunderstanding. She gets arrested to go back down to court, and things are dismissed, and she's released. So
but these officers, they're on camera conspiring to do it. The officers are on camera conspiring. It's the same. It's half the PD was involved in this case in Utah. And they're on the book saying, we're going to screen charges. We're going to see what we can do to put these guys away, while talking to Ammon Neff on the phone and Joshua on his porch ledge. Joshua Brandon, I can't remember his name right now. It's a long night. The guy on the porch and the CEO are conspiring with the officers on what charges they can rack up.
Yeah,
to put
that's
these
kind
guys
of
away.
that does.
And then they arrest the process
That smells
server,
bad.
knowing who she was.
Yeah, that's
After having taken the files from her and then refused to serve as officers. So they have fully violated in every way the public trust. Bricks and Minifigs puts this out there. We've been asking for documentation. Thank you, Mr. Producer, as soon as you got it up there. We've been asking for documentation for a long time. Really. We've asked Mr. Mansell and others. We'd asked Mr. Mansell and others and did not receive enough to give us a clear picture until recently. Yeah, you kicked them out of your headquarters. Thanks to internal, external operations assistants and those who continue to stand with us, we finally have enough to proceed with the resolution, said Ammon Neff, CEO, BAM. So he goes on, and it's a political piece. So his final notes from Fox are here. Go ahead and play that last one, and then I want to get Jill's commentary, and then I want to get into the rules of federal procedure. So go ahead and hit that up.
Well, our number one priority in this entire situation is and has been to ensure that anybody, including Mr. Mansell and his family, they are treated fairly. And so as we've gone through the documents and as we've looked at everything, our number one priority right now is to ensure that he gets made whole. With the underreporting that took place and the documents that we now have that shows what actually went on, we know that we have a responsibility to work with him to make sure he does get made whole. And so we're working towards that, and we're hoping that he'll be able to come to the table. We're excited to be able to make that happen. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows that we're working diligently to get him to the table so that we can get that taken care of.
Now you say make whole. Will that include saying, hey, 780 sets, 1,200 minifigs, we're going to tell you what we have where, we're going to tell you what we think was sold. Does that come with making him whole?
Yes. Yep. Being able to show all the documents, and if he was, again, as we believe through the documentation, not paid the way that he should have been, then we would cover the difference.
So that is a definite change, but also you want to know a couple things. A, we have recordings of them saying, sue us, we'd love you to sue us, we'll win, we'll make it your life miserable. Two, they went from $200,000 evaluation down to 50. So just take all of that into context. So I wanted to ask the question. What did this look like in the 1700s? What did this look like in the 1800s? How did someone go about getting justice in the 17 and 1800s? Well, I'll tell you something. I looked through multiple cases that Abraham Lincoln actually tried. He was an attorney, but he subbed in a couple times for local circuit judges. They were tried the same day. When you had property disputes, you had entire stretches of land where there were question marks on who owned them. He would do it the same day. And I want to put up his charge for justice. This is out of his ledger. This is the personal finances of Abraham Lincoln via the courtesy of the University of Michigan Digital Resources. You can find that link in the description below. 1837, April, to the attendance of the trial of right of J.F. Davis, property before Moffett, $5.
That was a lot of money.
$175 in today's money. 175 beans. What changed? Good question, Ryan. I'm glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. Go ahead and throw up the next. This is from the Heritage Foundation. And I actually, not that one, the one before it. It's going to be, is it 18? Yes, thank you, sir. The federal rules of civil procedure are rapidly approaching their 75th birthday. This was written in 2012, by the way, which will come in the year of 2013. 75 years is a long time, and while the rules have, of course, been amended significantly at various points of the years, their basic structure remains largely the same as in their original formulation. When the first promulgation in 1938, the rules had an immediate and dramatic impact upon civil adjudication by replacing long-accepted procedural practices with a very different method of resolving disputes. Next cut, Mr. Producer. This further from the sinner cannot hold. By some estimates, discovery, as part of those rules, costs now comprise between 50 and 90% of the total costs of adjudicating a case. Discovery abuse also represents one of the principal causes of delay and congestion in the judicial system. Who here knows what discovery is? Like what is discovery?
Oh, well, it's about learning information. It's about gathering your information to present your facts, which the difference between Abraham Lincoln and us today is the research process. We have places to go and to research. What did Abraham Lincoln's day have? Did they have the internet? Did they have a public library? I mean, back then, if you had a mortgage to your house, you better keep that paper at your property and you better keep it safe because that's all the proof you had.
Yep.
So discovery isn't going to take you very long back in the 1800s, whereas today
it's abused.
Yes. Well, there's going to be so many loops. I mean, you're going to search the ownership. If it's a piece of property, you're going to go back and search back to the original purchase, probably all the way up. And there's so many other things that you're going to look at. So discovery is going to take a long time.
Things in 1938 were not that much different than they are now. As far as the amount of red tape, I think us getting to the place where the original purpose, so Chesterton was the one who said one should not tear down a wall or a fence without first asking why it was erected. Why was discovery set up the way it was? It was to prevent trial by ambush. Yeah. And I agree. Yeah. I agree that there is a serious problem there. The issue is we now have 5 to 9 times confirmed the cost of a trial. All the other red tape combined does not touch the issue of discovery abuse. When people start to abuse discovery, it creates a monumental cost. And that's what they were referring to when they said, Mansell, guess what? We're going to make your life a living nightmare. What do they mean by that? They were going to drag out discovery and a few other things.
Here's one of the things that happens in discovery. An attorney has a client. He's, say, maybe a partner, maybe he's not a partner, an associate. He's got this big client. They're working, they're doing discovery. He goes, I really need to get this partner in who bills 2-3 times an hour what this associate does. So he pulls him in to help with discovery.
Yep.
Then that partner goes, we need somebody else in this specialty field of doing this.
Yep.
We need to pull this partner in also. Then we got this partner that's in this specialty. We need to pull him in.
Billable hours.
Then before you know it, you've got 3 or 4 partners that are billing $1,500 to $2,500 to $3,000 an hour on something that an associate should be billing.
Correct.
$200 an hour on.
So can we say legal AI, where we can do our own discovery?
Well, actually, so I think that there's a significant amount of desire for people to be able to represent themselves. And unfortunately, the way the bar is set up, they make it very, very difficult unless you're licensed, quote unquote. But of course, what's a license? At its root, by definition, what is a license?
Somebody giving you permission
to do something that's otherwise illegal. So here's my father is a paralegal, and the one degree he got out of 10 years of college was a law degree. He passed the bar exam, but he didn't invest because his thing is, I don't want to be responsible to officers of the court, including the judge. If I want to say something or do something, I don't want the revoking of my ability to be here to be on the table, which they'll do that with the bar. So he says, what if I have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but my chosen occupation is jurisprudence? Are you saying I need a license to do that? What are you guaranteeing people by having a license, really? I've met a lot of really dumb lawyers who may as well have not graduated. So Anyway, there's a way to get around that, and I think 2 Brad A actually brought up 18 U.S.C. 242 specifically with the cops. That is a very good statute. Anyone who deprives someone under the color of law of their constitutionally provided and recognized rights is punishable up to, but not limited to, capital punishment, especially if kidnapping or wrongful arrest are employed, which those are the same thing. It's a serious, serious charge. So with that said, I do think that the police in Utah need to be seriously looked at. I do think that they need to be taken down. Guys, it's not just, as someone who's actually gone through that and had an issue with a member of the Mormon Church who, my family went through that with a guy by the name of Paul Pantone. Very, very, very bad situation, and they abuse their relationships within the church. It's not Mormons, guys. There are people who use whatever they have against other people. Be nice to the Mormons. My family members who are Mormons did not do this, okay? My friends who are Mormons did not do this. But we do need to look at the institutions, especially the police officers. And we should look at, I think we should get rid of discovery or greatly truncate it, and we need to change the laws. The laws that go around getting civil disputes like this locked in, we need to have a reconciliation on laws. So that if you propose a law, you must remove a law.
I think this really goes more toward stealing than anything else.
But here's the point.
I don't think it's I really don't think this is civil. I think this is just.
You've missed the point then. There's no way that these guys would ever have gotten their money back. The Mansell family, because it is in that system. That's the whole point of this case. That's why it's so interesting, because these guys have no money.
And that is something that the argument needs to come up. How can we give greater punishment to these corporations to prevent them from doing this in the future?
Yeah.
That's how corporations steal from people.
They should be personally liable.
No.
They should be personally liable.
We're missing something here, guys. Okay. I'm deeply concerned we're missing something. In the broader perspective of this whole thing, there is a great injustice that has happened here. We have a number of states in this country, one in particular, that is on the very precipice of being able to lock in their way for the rest of the life of the United States. And everyone probably understands who I'm talking about here. How did we get there?
No,
because
we don't.
It is so corrupt.
You need to elaborate more on that, please. Who is locking in their way?
So when we're talking about Democrats doing what they're doing in the state of California,
sure,
we are watching in real time a group of people that are going to lock down any ability.
There's no way to vote them out.
There's no way to vote them out. And look, Spencer Pratt right now is merely 1,500 votes ahead.
Yep.
In the runner-up position when he was in first place.
And they're doing the same dumb thing with the mail-in ballots.
And listen, this right here is a carbon copy on a much smaller scale.
Imagine them being able to do this every day to anybody.
So if there was one thing I want to take away from this, it is the absolute vigilance that we as citizens of America, that we vet the people that we are voting for, that we vet the people that we want running our cities and our counties. It's not just on the state level. It's not just on the national level. Texas is experiencing this in a major way right now. We have got to do better, folks. This is an absolute sham.
Yeah.
This guy he is evil. He is purely evil.
Emmett McNeff, you talking about him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is one ugly dude, and I don't trust a word he's saying.
And everything that he's saying, he's lying, and he's going to be backed because of his affiliations, because of the people around him, their affiliations with the church. Just take that and make it the Democrat Party. Make it the Communist Party.
Yes.
And make it, if you have money, Steve's flicking his fingers, if you have money, you're going to be able to get out of that. So where does all this come down to? We need to be able to have a faster way to deal with discovery. I think we should reconsider it. I'm not saying tear it down per se, but the federal rules of civil procedure, we should change. Something's gone terribly wrong.
I agree.
The fact that the budget to sue someone for them taking away something from you during a civil dispute, the fact that it costs you 5-10 times or more what the trial would normally cost, you have to have a speedy trial. Otherwise, it just snowballs, and it prevents good people from getting justice.
I agree with that.
So
yes,
a lot of people get mad when you say this. Ben Schneider committed innumerable crimes when making this documentary. I had a good time watching it. I thought it was hilarious. I hope he's now in Mexico, by the way, because he had to flee the country from federal arrest warrants. I hope he gets representation, and I hope he gets off.
I do hope he gets off, but I think you know, I love the fact that we can expose things on YouTube, and I hope that the justice comes from this. But I think you as an individual needed to stop and reevaluate. Do I really want to go down this road? The cost might be more than
He is talking to a civil rights attorney.
He needs to. So, guys, if you know a good attorney who's willing to do something pro bono for a brokey, consider sending him Ben's way, because
he is talking to one. I watched a deal I think it was last night, on him talking to a guy.
He's got a bunch of lawyers reaching out. So anyway, that's a situation that we're going to be watching.
This is sad. I mean,
I think it would be in the best interest of BAM to drop all charges.
What we got is we got a big fish in a small school, which is BAM, and this guy that owns this store is a big fish in a small town with a lot of money, and he's got people in his pocket, and they're
not even in the pocket. They're just beholden to the local economy. They're looking at these guys as outsiders.
This right here is what they're looking at, and that guy's got corporate money behind him.
Yeah,
and
everything said here is allegedly. Okay, put it all under that. All under that.
Exactly.
But it's
everything we say is alleged.
But it's very interesting. So be in prayer for our nation. And I believe it was Franklin who said that our government is suitable to none other. It was either him or Adams. Suitable to none other than a moral and just people.
Amen.
We really need to change. We really need to change what we're doing in
Sounds
America.
like something Adams
I love what
would say.
Rottweiler said. Did you know a great white shark will not attack a lawyer?
Professional courtesy. Yeah, they're starting to use
diarrhea
lawyers in medical trials, because there's some things that even lab rats won't do.
Yeah.
Just continue on.
Man.
All right. So let us know what you think down in the comment section below. What is your solution to removing the bureaucracy? Okay, because I don't want to be about smelling a rotten egg. I also want to be able to fix it. What is your solution to being able to deal with the bureaucracy? I think we need to curtail how long discovery can go, and we need to change how it runs. And again, smarter people than me are going to have to look at that. And you have to have a higher penalty, and it has to go. Eamon McNeff needs to personally pay for his parts of it. If people saw that, if you could be civilly liable, if you could penetrate the corporate boundary for things that are clearly malicious, clearly lies, if you can penetrate that successfully, I think things would change.
I've got to believe that what was the family name again? The Mansells. I got to believe that they could push a lawsuit against BAM.
I think, well, they are.
Civilly.
So everyone's in a lawsuit. So,
yeah.
But the problem is the cost for an 83-year-old man who's dying and is trying to sell his stuff on consignment because he's broke, and his son does that, and his father's not well. His father doesn't even fully know the entire story because he's not well. And so that poor son has gone to the hospital for psychiatric treatment he's having nervous breakdowns,
anxiety,
the stress, because he feels like he screwed his dad.
I mean, what about the right to speedy trial?
Yeah. So I think something needs to change on that.
Right.
And we need to abbreviate the amount of time that discovery is allowed to take, and we need to punish people who clearly abuse it. there's something has to change. And again, I can give suggestions, but smarter people than me need to actually finish that, because it's a serious question. We need to change how much trial and how much justice costs here in America. Otherwise, it's not truly justice if it has to be bought. Now, in response, shifting gears to a question that was put in the live chat over on PSB, Charlie's actually prepared a little apologetics table segment.
Yay.
Little apologetics action here. And last week we were basically getting toward the end of the show. Rottweiler had brought up a question, and basically the question was, if someone with multiple personality disorder threatens, and I'm going to be using the word self-harm today, all right, is that considered a hostage situation? And so Ryan's got the cut up now that I want you to basically understand. I'm going to abbreviate for you. We're not medical people. We're not psychological people, psychiatric people. We're not legal people. We're not into all that. We are approaching this really from a biblical perspective on giving some hope and trying to really give you some understanding of what the Bible says on different things. So we appreciate Rottweiler's question. We will answer that. We're going to get into that. And there's some key questions that come about as a result of his question. When you look at what was asked, the first thing that I would want to know is, how do we define what a hostage really is? And we'll talk about that in a moment. Does multiple personality disorder change the dynamics of the situation? And we'll get into that for a moment. And then, how does God see self-harm and how does he treat it? That right there is really important, because a lot of people, they don't think that the Bible speaks to the issue of suicide or the desire for self-harm. And quite frankly, it does. There's some major examples, and I'll give you a couple today. But Ryan, if you would put up the next cut, number 24, please. I want to look at the consistency of God's word when it comes to this issue. In Genesis 1:27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Genesis 9:6, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. And I want to also be clear, man has been commanded by God not to murder another. You can go into Exodus to take a look at that. God's word is consistent. These are not the only three verses that pertain to this issue. There are others, but I just want to get us going that there is some consistency from God's word on this. I think one of the interesting examples is when we look at the prophets of Baal. You've got that as an example. We could certainly, and maybe I will pull that up in just a moment, but when you look at what was done there around the altar, that was pretty incredible. That took place, I believe it took place pretty much over the course of the day. And it really, it's sad to see what it transpired into, but it shows you what can happen when you really start losing the ability to think clearly and rationally. The demoniac of Gadara, that was another example. Judas Iscariot is probably one of the greatest examples in the New Testament. After Jesus had been crucified, he goes out and he has inflicted the self-harm on himself there. And how about those that wanted to die? Like Elijah, like Job, if you'll throw that cut up there, Ryan, number 26. Jonah, Moses had an interesting response. And again, we could get into all of these things. I don't want to go deep on all of them, but I do want to let you know that the Bible speaks on this issue. We will get into Elijah. I think that's probably one of the really good ones to look at. Job, especially when he was going through his situation, his own wife wanted him to curse God and die. And by the way, I don't think that she really wanted him to die. She wanted him to die to get rid of the suffering. That's a whole nother topic that we can get into, especially from an apologetic perspective. But I want
watching someone you love suffer is hard.
It is very hard. It's extremely hard. And I'm sure that some of you that are listening or watching today have experienced that personally. My gut tells me that Rottweiler was bringing this up because he does have, or she has, a personal experience to that. And so the topic needs to be dealt with extremely carefully. And the Bible is clear on it. I do want to, let's go ahead and take a moment to look at a couple of these things. Let's talk about the issue of a hostage. And I would say this, that typically this is a person who is being held against their will with a desired outcome of using that person as leverage for a desired outcome, I should say. Each state may have their own definition of hostage. Okay. So I get that. And especially when it comes to insurance policies, life insurance, when it gets into even other things, property insurance, you might even have some issues. So this issue of the definition of what a hostage is, it's pretty important that we understand that is truly a legal definition that needs to be had there. For a person with multiple personality disorder, it gets into those definitions, and it would potentially have far-reaching impacts. The depth of issues for this type of situation from a legal perspective would be enormous and difficult to sort through. We can't possibly sort through all of that right here. To the original question that Rottweiler had asked, and I want to make sure that I quote it the right way, is that considered, if someone with multiple personality disorder threatens self-harm, is that considered a hostage situation? I don't think we're in a position where we could comment one way or the other on that, Rottweiler. That's just, I don't think there's a way to do that. There's so much that you would have to enumerate through to even possibly get to identifying that one way or the other. However, I want to take a look at this. Let's say that the multiple personality disorder was not the issue. A person just does this, they threaten themselves with self-harm. Is that a hostage situation? And if you remember at the end of last week's episode, you two had jumped in real quick and said, no, that is not.
Well, because Rottweiler was joking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, Rottweiler's a guy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the clarification on that. And so when it comes to taking that out of the equation, no, I don't think you can call that a hostage situation, because who's really being held against their will? That's where that definition really gets into an important part. The thing is, how does God see self-harm and how does he treat it? And that really is what needs to be broken down here. I want to go to 1 Kings chapter 19. And if you give me just a moment, I should have had this up. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 1 through 8. We're dealing with a situation here where Elijah is really down in the dumps, is probably an understatement. Let me read this. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. So to be very clear here, Ahab has told Jezebel everything Elijah's done, and he has slain all the prophets. That means all of Elijah's buds are dead. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. That is a death threat. That is an absolute death threat. And now Elijah's in a situation, and this is where we can get caught up in things. If we are not balanced with the word, this can happen to us very easily. Now, Elijah was a man of God, And even to strong Christians, this can happen. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servants there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, "It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers." This is a serious situation. He's received a death threat. He's experienced a lot of different things, but just this threat from Jezebel has really got him, and he's hurting.
Well, there's a history here with Jezebel.
Yes, there is.
And how many prophets did she kill?
All of them. All the ones that have popped their heads up.
Yeah, I mean,
There were 7,000 she hadn't gotten to, but all the ones that were public.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty discouraging.
It is very discouraging. And Elijah's under a tree here. And watch how God responds to this situation. I want to be careful here when we get done reading this. But listen to this. "And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake, bacon on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again." Now watch this. "And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose, and he did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God." What was the first response that God did with Elijah? Rest and eat. Now, I know some of you are sitting there like me. What better words could God have done and spoken in this moment, right? You're thinking, I want to be depressed. I want to eat and sleep. And you want to know something? There's really something interesting about that. A lot of people that suffer with this, they do exactly that. That is not the purpose of the resting and eating. Look what God was asking him to do. He was telling him, "And he went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God." There was more to do. There was more meeting to take place. When we get in those moments when we're very discouraged, when we are maybe contemplating this, and by the way, can I just say, if you're struggling with this, you can dial 988 and get some help. Reach out to your local pastor. Reach out to a really good friend, a friend that really is of sound mind to give you good advice, things to think about. But don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid. This is a situation where Elijah was saying, "I need to die." And God said, "No, you don't. You've got more to do, and I'm going to help you do it." Guys, stay steady in the word, stay strong in the word, to be encouraged. And remember that God has got a plan and a purpose for your life. He wants to use you. Let's keep going here for a moment. When you look at Job, Job was one that walked with God. That's what it says. And he eschewed evil. He pushed it away. He wanted nothing to do with it. That's a great man of God. He had tremendous wealth that God had blessed him with. He had many family members. He had much possession in terms of animals. He owned a lot of land. All of it taken in the course of one day. Gone. Satan was really wanting to get in touch with doing bad things to Job, so much so that he approached God a second time and said, "He did not curse you. Let me at him one more time." And God said, "You can do that. The only thing you cannot do, you cannot kill him, but you can do anything else." and that's when the boils came on. Don't know if you've ever been, if you've ever had boils before. They are incredibly painful. As a kid, I was about 9 years old, 9 years old. I actually had 3 boils in 1 year at the same time. I remember distinctly my mom taking me to this hospital, to the doctor, a specialist, and they would take me in. I can.
It was very painful. It was.
Very.
It was.
So they lanced his ears, and then it was.
They could hear the screams out in the
waiting room. So boils are painful.
I had 3 on my knee one time, and I had soaked in Epsom salt for 2 hours, hot bath, and then I didn't go to a doctor. I squeezed them out myself. You want to talk about
pain.
some pain?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking
I think I've watched-
enormous.
Not being able to
pain.
sit. Not being able to sit.
Well, and I was just going to get to that.
Massive pain.
Look at Job now, and think about boils all over his body.
Not being able to move.
And
Can't move.
without pain.
Scraping it out.
Scraping it. Oh,
And yeah.
Oh.
And he did. He asked God, just end it. Understood.
And I still got scars on my knee.
And
from
they
those
don't go
3.
away.
No.
Yeah, mine is still there. I had one on my leg, and it's still there. That scar is still there.
I still got 3 scars on my knee.
Listen, you may be really in a difficult place with your mental health, with the issue of wanting to do self-harm. Again, I cannot stress to you enough, seek out help. That's number 1. But number 2, the most important thing that you could do is stay in the Word.
Amen.
I'm telling you, there is nothing new under the sun. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes. Nothing new. God has seen all of this kind of stuff. He's got an answer for it. Did he help Elijah? He sure did. Did he help Job to the tune of doubling his blessing? Moses? Oh, he used Moses in a great way. But Moses said, I'd just soon died and then to watch these people do what they're doing. Guys, I want you to really hone in. God knows what you're feeling. He knows it. And he's got help for you. He wants to help
Amen.
you.
Yes, sir.
Just one more thing here that I'd like to touch on. Does this impact whether if a person commits self-harm, does this impact their ability to go to heaven? No. No, it does not. And if you look at Scripture responsibly, it's clear it does not. Here's what I would really want to let you know. Is self-harm a sin? Yes. Is self-harm an unforgivable sin? No.
You don't see it anywhere in Scripture.
Nowhere.
Only in
Nowhere.
certain catechisms that I would say are stepping outside the bounds of what has been said.
And to just kind of tie this off, salvation is not dependent on your final act. It's not. It's not dependent upon your confession of a sin like that. If that were the case, what do we do about the sins that we don't know that we committed? That would leave us in a pretty problematic spot. John chapter 10, verse 28, Jesus said, I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish. When a person is truly accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior, signed, sealed, and delivered. Done.
Never is the word.
That is the word.
Never.
Deep despair does not prove someone to be unsaved.
I think it does raise a question in the mind if they have the security and the hope.
I would agree with that.
So there's a lot of people who say they're saved and they have no true direct relationship with Christ. Yep. So pray for their souls.
Absolutely.
Pray for the souls. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know how long in time and space there is between the moment of death and the moment of acceptance into the next world. Some people will call that purgatory. Some people would say it's less structured than that.
Yep.
Don't know if it's minutes. Don't know if it's hours. Don't know if it's years. Don't know. But so pray for their souls.
And that's today's apologetics table.
Excellent.
I hope that helped.
Indeed.
It was excellent, Charlie. Thank you.
Indeed. So, on to something a little bit more uplifting. We got some history with Nikki Knows Facts.
We are traveling.
You know facts?
You're going to have to go to the next one, Mr. Producer. Come on. It's going to be 28.
Inept robber. No camels are allowed on the highways in Nevada. He has a hacksaw. This is not a mannequin. This is a human corpse.
I was planning on having a camel race in Nevada.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We are traveling next one. We are traveling into 1955 to 1968. Most of you already know we're going to be talking a lot about civil rights and the things that happened during that time, which were very critical to our country, and in a positive way, in many aspects, in a positive way. The next slide, we're going to talk about this woman who I think is very brave, Rosa Parks, and the Montgomery, Alabama bus boycott. Everybody knows Rosa Parks was on the bus, and a white man wanted her seat, and she refused to give it up. Good for her. However, back in 1955, she got arrested for that, and which caused a citywide boycott of the bus line. The black community got together, and they decided, we're going to carpool. We're not going to pay. I mean, why should I pay for a bus fare when I don't get equal treatment? Were they getting a discount? You know? So for 361 days, they didn't ride the bus. And out of that came a young minister named Martin Luther King Jr., and they started organizing these civil rights movements. Also during this time, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. If you remember last week, Brown versus Board, the Supreme Court said that school segregation was unconstitutional. And we're going to get into that a little bit today too. But Martin Luther King, when he started with his civil rights movement, remember he said nonviolent. Now, that's not what you see today, but that's how it started, and that's what he promoted during that time. So let's talk about him. Go to the next slide. He, of course, we just talked about the nonviolent resistance. He organized lots of civil rights movements during that time, and is known very much for his speech, I Have a Dream. He promoted voting rights for black people. He also won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. He also, we all know, was assassinated in 1968. But during this time, moving on to 1957, the next one, I'm moving by going through this pretty fast because it's a lot of it's very similar in what happened, and we're all pretty familiar with it. But let's go on to the Little Rock 9, 1957. Now, if you see here on these pictures, these 9 black students, I think is very brave. They were going to go into the white public school system because the Supreme Court said they had a right to do this. Now, what's funny is that the wonderful governor, Orville Faubus, and I might be saying that wrong, he said, no, you're not. And he calls up the National Guard and he tries to block these black students from going into the school. So the federal government, Mr. Eisenhower at the time, sends in the 101st Airborne Division. Now, I'm not sure the National Guard's going to fight the Airborne Division. What do you think?
Yeah.
So the picture on the right there was that the military marching those young people into the school for their safety. They're guiding them in, not marching them in, but guiding them in. And, you know, those kids, you know they were going to be treated terrible. They were called names, they were threatened, but they did it anyway, and they brought down that wall. And I think they need to be applauded for it. I think it's wonderful. During this 1957, guess what else was going on? A lot of homes had TVs, and guess what was on the news? And guess what brought the crisis to a lot of people's attention? And it leaned toward the integration between blacks and whites during this time. But that's a very interesting thing. Going on, we're going to do something. Next one, the space race and NASA from 1958 to 1968. Do y'all know what happened in, I think it was 1958. Do y'all know what happened?
Sputnik.
It was. I want you to know how terrified these. Yes. The
Little
world.
soccer ball size satellite. Sputnik. We were first. We were first to outer space. You were late. Continue.
Yes,
please,
they
sorry.
went. And by the way,
Ryan's
that-
like, what is happening over there? Sorry. Continue. The look on his face is amazing.
this was the world's first artificial Earth satellite, and it orbited the Earth every 98 minutes. Now, if you're the United States and you're in a Cold War with the Soviet Union, and they
Yep.
have a satellite in space,
No, thank you.
Not.
No, thank you. Get it out.
Yes. So we created NASA in 1958, and we made great investment in science education because we needed to figure this out, right? Also, we developed the Mercury program, which was human space flight efforts. In 1961, the Soviets put their first cosmonaut in space, Yuri Gagarin, and I knew I butchered
Gagarin.
that. Okay, I knew I butchered that, but I can't speak anyway. But in 1962, our astronaut John Glenn orbited the Earth. So we got up there, but we weren't first. And America's always known for being first.
And that was a point of contention within NASA too. They knew that just getting up there wasn't enough. They needed to land it.
I'll be honest with you. If I was in the political world and I knew Russia had that technology that we did not have, that would be pretty scary.
Yeah.
I would be concerned. I would be very, very concerned. 1960, go to the next one. We have the presidential election of John Kennedy, who barely beat Nixon. I do remember that Nixon said that a lot of dead people voted in that election.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, there was a lot of dead people that voted. But anyway, it also, during the election, was the first televised presidential debate, which did influence a lot of people.
Yep, it sure did.
Yes. He was the youngest elected president. He had big support for the space program. He did manage the Cold War with the Soviet Union at the time, and we all know that he was assassinated in 1963. As a matter of fact, Charlie and I went to the museum.
And it is immense. There is a lot there. You could easily spend 3 to 4 hours there. We did not, but I felt like we just needed that time. And boy, that closed off area from the window was it was like going to Gettysburg.
Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around this, and I know, didn't Trump say that he was going to have those files released and they were not released?
No, he released some files, but they were largely underwhelming. So he released more on the Kennedy files than ever has been. The problem is, oh, hey, we covered up this assassination and we're going to immaculately detail exactly what we did and then hide them in a vault somewhere. That didn't happen. Same with Epstein. That didn't happen. Now, the one thing I do think that we have that we're not actionably working on is with Epstein is there are still people alive who took part in that. So Kennedy, on the other hand, there's someone we could probably hold accountable. The reason why they felt comfortable letting it all out is they're all dead.
Yes. Yeah, that's the truth part of it.
So-
Okay, going on to the next one here. in 1962, you have the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we have this Cold War going on with the Soviet Unions, and all of a sudden we find out the Soviet Unions have missiles in Cuba. That's kind of close to home. Yeah, surprise, surprise. They have a satellite in space. They have technology in science that we didn't have. We're gaining on it, but now we find out they have missiles in Cuba. And isn't this the time that everybody was trying to get a bomb shelter built during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Because people were, we had the atomic attack on Japan, and so there was a real fear of what the Soviets were going to do to the United States. However, Kennedy ordered a naval blockade, and the Soviets did get in there. We did get those missiles out, and he averted a serious crisis during that time, which is, everybody knows, well, we know about the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't know about what they teach in school anymore, if they even teach that, or even if that's, considered important. Let's go on to number 7, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Kennedy has been assassinated, and Lyndon B. Johnson is now the president. And there's going to be a lot of opposition in Congress, but they did outlaw segregation in public accommodations, not just in public schools, in public accommodations. Prohibited discrimination based on race, protected employment opportunities. I'm all for this. I think this is, I support this 100%. I'm sorry it took till 1964 to do it. I often wonder if back after the Civil War, if the Reconstruction of the South, if we didn't pull back the federal troops like we did, if we had stayed there.
Well, that's largely why Lincoln was assassinated. That's why, because they knew it was going to be a way for them to weaken our influence.
Yeah, so it's a sad part of our history that it took to 1964. And then even though you pass the laws, you have to get through people's, their attitudes and their mindset of the time. But I would say in 2026, we've had a black president. We have heroes in all areas of our culture, of different colors, different, ethnic backgrounds and stuff. So I think we've come a long way. I'm not going to say that we've arrived, because I think you can go. Humans
are human, and they will always human until conform to the image of Christ.
Yes, our Constitution is for a moral and just people. And when you find these little problems of hatred and things, they have a problem with morality and justice is what they really have. I will say the Civil Rights Act of 1964, I don't know if this is the part, I really support it. I think it's wonderful. When they brought in welfare, they decimated the black family. And here, these people in the 50s and 60s who are fighting so hard, this was not what they envisioned today, to have 3 out of 10 children born in a family with a mother and father. 7 are born without a present father. That's not what they dreamed. That's not what they wanted. And I believe when they passed those welfare bills shortly thereafter, was very tragic. I'm going to talk very briefly on the next one, of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, but the year Charlie and I were born, 1965. So there was what they call the Selma marches, and it was protesting systematic disenfranchisement of black Americans and to demand federal protection of their constitutional right to vote. Yes, yes, and yes. But let me ask you this. How does the SAVE Act prohibit people from voting? You need an ID to drive a vehicle. You need an ID to get a job.
You need an ID to fly on a plane.
You need an ID to fly on a plane.
To fly a plane in the first place, to drive a car, to fly a plane, to fly on a plane.
And by the way, the majority of black people do actually support the SAVE Act. They don't feel it's going to
If
hinder them from
anything, it's
voting.
insulting. It's insulting.
It is. It is. All right. The next one, 1964 to 1968. This is terrible. The Vietnam War. My father was drafted to go to the Vietnam. He wasn't accepted because he had medical issues. So he didn't go. And if you ever want to make my dad angry, talk about the Vietnam War with him. And I'll tell you exactly what he said. This was a war that was not fought to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
These men were pawns in a political chess game. And their lives, that's the value of their lives. And I agree with my dad. It was terrible. We're the United States of America. We had the ability to go in there and end that war. And what my dad said was a few weeks, because that's the military might that we had. But we went in there and we didn't fight a war. We fought a political game.
Correct.
And our young men and young women suffered and died. It's wrong.
And I think it's really apropos to bring up how Trump
has
deals
radically
with
dealt with
military.
it.
I mean,
he knocks over the dictator. He doesn't deal with killing their people with our people, and it's not this macabre, Napoleonic, barbaric. It's modern warfare.
Vietnam, these guys were sent into a war with both hands tied behind their back.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't enlist. I thought about enlisting in Afghanistan. Anyone with half a brain cell active could see we were going to pull out someday, and it was going to turn back into a hellhole.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm not going to go get shot at for that. Why would I do it?
I've got so many friends that were in Vietnam that I talk to, and they tell me about.
It's terrible.
It was just.
Yeah.
It was a terrible war. It was.
Yes.
It was not America's best day. I want to say that.
Not at all.
There was a lot of college protests that went on at that time, and the public support declined tremendously, and should have.
Mm-hmm.
Going on to our last one, the assassination. Now, I did not realize that Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy were assassinated so close together. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, which, by the way, riots erupted in many cities. I do understand that, but I do remember he was one that said peaceful protest. I mean, but the emotion behind all his assassination was, I'm sure, pretty great.
The CIA had their hands in a lot of it, though. Things are not dissimilar to what they are today, and they were very, Anyway, let's not get too far down that today, because you have a direction you're going.
Well, and I was, like I said,
I don't want to take you off.
And then just 2 months later, June 5th, 1968, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot, you can spend hours talking about all the conspiracies during this time.
Well, there were a
With
lot.
the Kennedys, and there's probably a lot of things that haven't been brought to the surface.
Martin Luther was both covered for and, there's some wild stuff. There's some wild stuff.
Well, he was being, the
Luther.
FBI had bugged Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on. They were just really worried about black people having equal rights.
Well, there was a number of things going on. You see, you got to understand, they see everything and everyone as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And
it's true. So not our best shining moment in some areas, but in other areas, great victories. I like the fact that we live in an integrated society. I don't want the attitude of separate but equal. That was what the Jim Crow laws were. We're separate, but we're equal.
They're going back to that right now. The same people, by the way, same party.
Yes.
Same freaking party.
No.
And some of the others that have
I like the way Jesus said it. He
come
says,
over.
You yourselves testify to your evilness because you say your forefathers killed the prophets, but you wouldn't. But you're doing the same thing right now. Paraphrase. That last part's a paraphrase. But you're doing the same thing right now. When Jesus was speaking to the Pharisees, he said, you guys testify you would be guilty. Your parents were. You guys did it. You're doing the same thing. You're not changing. It's the same thing with the modern Democrat Party. They're the same party that held the slaves, believed in eugenics. Adolf Hitler's crew said, Margaret Sanger, her crowd over there, they wrote books that are effectively our Bibles. And they opposed reintegration.
Oh yes, they were very, very racist.
Same people.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And they're opposing integration right now.
If
They
you're
want
a
all black
person,
colleges.
of course, if you're on listening to this program and on this station, you're not listening to talking points. But when you have conversation with people that all they listen to are talking points, you just want to look at them and go, "You're so silly. You're so silly."
Take a moment to think.
Yes.
Duh.
Yep. Yep. So, with that said, this has been Nikki Knows Facts.
Very quick this week.
I think we got shenanigans with Steve.
Oh, I can go shoot me a buffalo.
Nope.
Stay out of my garbage can. I'll keep it to myself. All right.
Keep it on pace here.
All righty. Today we got, believe it or not, there's plants that you can use that will keep and can keep snakes away from your house.
No.
And from around your house and your gardens and all. Just plants. You don't have to have any kind of spray or any kind of stuff like that.
Man,
just a plant.
We might want to give people a moment to call up their friends.
A plant.
Time to tune in.
Okay. 7 plants that people used to use that people just think are just either weeds or pretty stuff nowadays. And they just kind of think, oh, wow, that's so pretty. I like that. I'm going to plant that.
I want to see plant number 1.
See plants. They're so pretty. First one, Captain.
Here it comes.
Here it is. How about that? Isn't that pretty? Marigolds.
Wow.
I bet you never would have thought
I would have
marigolds
never thought that.
are
Never
plants.
thought that.
The thing about marigolds is they release a terpene that is very strong to snakes. It affects their chemicals for their nose. Like what they do is they use their tongues to scent. Okay. Now the terpenes are in the air, and when they use their tongues to scent to find out what's around, these terpenes are in the air and it affects them. They're what they call their chemo regulation or whatever. I forget.
Now, is that so? Did they repel all snakes?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And also a lot of insects and rodents also. And that's why you would see in a lot of places people in, say, like old homes and places where people would have lots of marigolds planted around. And you go, oh, wow, these are so pretty. Look at all these marigolds. That's why.
That's interesting.
So
because they were used to keep snakes away.
So
and rats.
As a significant surprise to Child of the Highest Kings that marigolds keep rats and snakes away.
Yes.
Ooh.
How about
They do.
that?
Yes.
That's good for people who live in the country.
There's going to be a run on marigolds.
Yeah.
They are very good at doing that.
See, I don't think I'm going to plant any because I like an excuse to have some mousers. And that's my excuse around my mama who does not like cats too much.
Got it.
Family of mousers beats marigolds. But anyway,
I'll take
continue
that
on.
marigolds.
Next one, Captain.
He does not like cats.
Nope. This is another
I
one.
like both.
Lemongrass.
Whoa.
Something besides something you can eat, okay, other than using it, say, like in, stir fry or something. You can use it also to keep snakes away. Also, the terpenes in lemongrass does the same thing. Now, the interesting thing also about lemongrass, because the way it grows so thick and tight. It's so thick like this that it also inhibits the ability for snakes to really kind of get through it. And what you have to do with lemongrass is you plant it so that it grows in walls and hedges so that it grows super thick. And it's kind of sharp a little bit, the edges on lemongrass. And snakes don't really like that a lot. And plus, the terpenes from it affects them
Okay.
from lemongrass. That's why a lot of Asians will have lemongrass planted around their houses a lot, not just for the fact that they use it in eating, but also to keep snakes away.
I can see people bookmarking this episode.
Yeah, this was
I
a good
can
one.
see it.
A lot of
Keep
people
going,
don't like snakes. Next one, Captain.
My mom
Now
really
this
doesn't
one
like
is
snakes.
interesting here. People will get this one. Mother-in-law's tongue. How did everybody think about this one, huh?
Mr. Producer is very confused and very concerned.
I'm just
Continue
like,
on.
what's with the name?
Well, because you don't have a mother-in-law yet.
That's right. You'll understand when you get a mother-in-law.
He's trying to
I'll
figure out
understand
if-
why this plant is called mother-in-law tongue. Once
However, Ryan, I'm a very good mother-in-law.
He's trying to think, is this
Not
cannibalism
conceited,
or
just
Game of
convinced.
Thrones? Like, he doesn't know what this is. He's like, what does this mean?
I'm just so curious what's
Continue.
the origin of the name.
Like, do we cut out
I'm gonna
someone's
go look
tongue?
this up after we're done.
He's bookmarking the episode.
Yes, I think so. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
go check it
booking
out.
mark.
Now,
I'm
this
gonna
one
bookmark it
here
for me and my mother. She's
has one of the strongest and most what they call a aerial toxic terpene that snakes can't stand.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst ones that snakes don't like. So what they do is with mother-in-law's tongue, you can even use it, you can plant it around your doors, what they talk about around areas that you walk, like sidewalks, your front doors. You can even have it in potted plants. Just like if you have mother-in-law's tongue in a pot, put it by your front door or your back door.
Mm-hmm.
Just the terpenes from that will keep snakes away.
See,
plant it like down here in the South. Very few times do you have to worry about bringing it in that often because we have a frost, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you might have to cover it or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it. But man, mother-in-law's tongue, I know this because my ex-wife always we'd every now and then we'd see some snakes around the front door. Well, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know any of this. She bought her big mother-in-law's tongue plant. We started keeping it around the front door. Never saw snakes again out around the front door. Never even thought about it for years. Never thought about it until I started reading this, and I was like, no wonder. Makes plenty of sense.
Yeah. We'll have to get some of that planted.
It's interesting because, I mean, it's an interesting plant. And I didn't know this, but a mother-in-law's tongue blooms. Believe it or not. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Some things you learn.
There you go.
Especially with snake plants.
Now, that mother-in-law's tongue, they're sharp, though, aren't they?
Yes.
I
They've
remember,
got little points on them on the ends, and that right there in itself will help keep snakes away when they try to crawl through it.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I just remember when I saw the picture of that, I thought, I remember that hurts.
Yes.
That plant hurts, yeah.
Yes, it does. Very much so. Next one. Now, this one is interesting, especially for those that are over in Europe. Wormwood. This plant here, and I'm sure some, maybe Charlie and Nikki have heard of this, absinthe.
Yes.
Have you heard of Charlie? Yes. Absinthe. That is a drink that was made back years and years, back in the 1800s, 1700s, and it was actually banned because it corrupted you morally.
Really?
Yes.
Made you high?
Is this the kind of stuff that was talked about in the Bible?
This is worse than alcohol, dude.
Quick, burn Steve. He's a witch.
Big time. I mean, this is like way worse than alcohol.
So, someone in
this
the
is
comments
like a
section,
major
"Actually,
bad
it's a
drug.
wizard."
And if there's anybody listening that also knows about absinthe, you can make a comment about it, because this has a real strong terpene that goes along with it also, that helps keep snakes away. The only thing about wormwood is that when you plant it somewhere, if you're going to plant any other plants around it, it has to be real far away, because the root system inhibits the germination of any other plants or the seeds of other plants, just because of the nature of the absence.
We like
that
inhibiting
it
the germination. They kind of deserve it after 3 wars. But continue.
Oh, man. I knew you were going to go there. I knew it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Steve. No, this is actually amazing.
Now, the thing about wormwood is that when you grow it, you can plant it real, like a hedge. And the thing is you trim it a lot in order to keep the terpenes going. Break off branches, trim it. And what they would also do is they would cut branches off and put it like in a little burlap bag or something and toss it under their houses or under their porches and places where snakes might hang out and stuff like that. Hang it on their porches, lay it next to the front door like you would, and that way it would keep snakes away. Next one, Captain. Mugwort. Now, this one here.
I've never heard of this.
Yep. This one has always been, most people always think of it when you just look at it as a weed. Mm-hmm. It's been known as a common weed everywhere. But the thing about it is, across 7 continents, it's been used as a snake repellent across 7 continents.
Wow.
Because of the terpenes in it. It has such strong terpenes, and you keep it trimmed, broke off, and stuff like that. It helps keep snakes away. But it's always just like, it looks like a weed, so people pull it up, get rid of it, boom, get rid of it. Don't think about it.
That would be something that you would want, especially in the countryside.
Exactly.
Keep it, yeah.
Next one, sir. Now, this is a little different than your regular basil. It's called holy basil or Tulsi. Okay? This has been cultivated for about 3,000 years now. It actually started being cultivated over in India and has gone throughout the world. It's been used many times and what they did is they used it as like sacrificial type kind of thing, and Hindus and all of them. But they grew it in a plant and kept it by their front door and found out through trial and error that the terpenes in it kept the snakes away.
Oh.
In India, that's a must.
Hello?
Big time.
That's a must.
In India, you bet it is. And through trial and error, they found out that it kept snakes away.
Yep.
So, bam. So therefore, you got snakes away by using holy basil. Next one, Captain. Now, this one everybody might like, rosemary. Rosemary is such a great herb. Now,
She's a friend of my mom, too.
Rosemary. See, rosemary. So rosemary and thyme remind me of Christmas. Because that's usually, for some reason,
for that time of year,
that's usually what I end up baking with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'll do a steak with rosemary, thyme, reverse sear.
Yes.
Yeah,
But lately,
we're going to have one of those kind of things coming up next month.
I've been smoking my steak lately. But if I were to do it any other way, it'd be reverse sear with rosemary, thyme, and butter.
Yes.
That's
gotta get that
pretty
bitter
good.
Butter, not margarine. Butter.
I can't believe it's half plastic. Sorry, continue.
Now, rosemary has been being used.
That's what margarine is, Mr. Producer.
For keeping snakes away for about 4,000 years. Okay. Now, the thing about rosemary is you have to keep it trimmed. Break off, trim parts of it. You can grow it like a thick shrub, a bush, plant it along trails, your sidewalks, next to your house, anywhere you want to keep snakes away, just grow it like a shrub. And of course, use it for cooking. Now, with rosemary, you can trim it or not, because rosemary's constantly putting off an odor, whether you trim it or not. I mean, it's just got plenty of odor. The thing is, it's the terpenes in these plants, in these 7 plants, that keep the snakes away, and it's their olfactory sense that you're affecting. It's not a poison, so you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't affect poisonous things. If your kids go and chew on them, they're not going to die. So all natural, 7 plants you can use to help keep snakes away.
So this has been Steve Shenanigans and Circumventing Snakes.
Correct.
And Tina Anon.
Got any more for me? I need more S's. Can I buy an S? Sorry, continue.
Tina Anon wants to know, so Steve, we got your next segment. What kind of natural plant would keep mosquitoes away? So
hold it. Save it. Save it for the next one.
Next week.
So let's look at anything that is anti-snake. And you're going to have to come up with more than citronella. So we'll...
Hello? Somebody say amen.
Steve Shenanigans with citronella, circumventing snakes, and skeeters. There we go. We're getting warmer.
There we go. Okay, let's see.
We're getting warmer. Mr. Producer's like, that came out of your face hole. I cannot believe that those words came out.
Mosquitoes.
Final thoughts for the day.
Toes, T-O-E-S. Toes.
Final thoughts from Miss Nikki. And no toes. We don't put the dogs out on this channel. It's a family channel. Continue.
Well, I already gave my opinion on the little segment we did at the beginning about the Legos, but I would like to say something about the segment Charlie did. People with self-harm, I don't think there's many people out there that haven't at one point or another come to a place that wants to do self-harm, or they know somebody who struggles with wanting to do self-harm. At least we have, and it seems to be pretty common. And I just would like to say, God has a purpose for your life. If you're alive today, God has a purpose. He has a plan, and He has a path for you to walk. If you're miserable, if you're unhappy, reevaluate yourself and get into His plan, His purpose, and His path. And just trust in Him. There's nothing like waking up in the morning and being happy that you have another day to live. There's nothing like looking in the mirror and being happy with who you are. Mm-hmm. And feeling like the most important thing when you wake up is feel like, I have a purpose for today. I can go on.
So I actually just want to add to that real quick from a chatter. QRS 321. I was raised Catholic in the Catholic faith, and I cannot tell you how the fear of hell kept me from. Use the word self-murder many times, and I just want to say this out here: the thought of you're going to meet your Creator in the next moment. Been here. You're going to meet the Creator in the next moment. What are you going to say to Him? Oh, you made it too hard. Oh, your son didn't suffer as much as I have. Do you want to have that conversation? So know that God is good and that He can save. Steve.
Man, I really enjoyed your segment, Charlie, on enjoying the apologetics. And, I just remember the first time I ever heard of the apologetics when Hernandez showed up, and man, I've been stuck on it ever since. And I really appreciate your apologetics point. I just would like to see you do it a little more often, dude.
Appreciate that.
And Charlie.
Appreciate that. And I did enjoy doing that segment. I will say I appreciated Steve's segment. Yeah. Bookmark. And, it's just amazing to me that God has given us so much of the solution, and it's all right around us.
Yeah.
We don't have to invent something new. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but God has given us just normal, everyday things to help with snakes.
I like it. Mr. Producer.
I also really enjoyed Charlie's segment today. I haven't been so down that I've considered like self-harm or anything like that, but I have been like, I went through a season of depression, feeling purposeless and lost and almost like, what's the point of life? And I really love what Miss Nikki said, because that's one thing I learned. As long as you're still here, God has a plan and purpose for you being here. You're not. My dad told me that there's a reason we're not raptured up the moment we accept Christ and receive salvation, because there's work to do.
Amen.
There's work to do. And also, I really enjoyed Steve's segment. I might share that with my mom, because growing up, my mom always told me snakes are from the devil.
And she's right.
They have a place and they have a purpose, and they are God's
Yes, hell
creatures.
has a purpose.
Oh my God.
What I would say is this: make sure that you know that you do have a purpose. Start with the end in mind always. We should look at our justice system, and I think that the recent last couple of months have really proven that our system is broken, because we have ultimately, if we had a moral people, wouldn't be a problem. Be nice to the Mormons. Their theology is, I believe, incorrect. I believe factually you can make that case, but they are not the ones behind this per se. There are some bad people doing some bad things right now, and we need to really focus on bringing the individuals to justice that are there. Know what your purpose is, know that you're loved, and with that said, and love is not apathy. Love is something that corrects you and pushes you towards repentance from evil and towards good works. So know that you are loved by God. With that said, we got nothing else for you. We love you so much. You have a wonderful day.